Before we proceed further, request you to please subscribe to our channel as shown above. Hello friends, welcome to Kamat Astrology. This is a very short video on 16th January 2022. Mars is going to move from the sign of Scorpio into the sign of Sagittarius. And therefore, he travels from a watery sign to a fire sign. And the last 3 degrees of a water sign and the first 3 degrees of a fire sign are known as Gandhanta. And Mars is going to cross this Gandhanta zone. So in this video, we will see the impact of Mars crossing the Gandhanta zone. Now look at the 2 purple lines shown in this figure, and that represents the Gandhanta zone. So you can see the last 3 degrees of Scorpio sign. Scorpio sign is a water sign, and the first 3 degrees of the fire sign Sagittarius. So that zone is called Gandhanta zone, and it is a point where fire meets water and therefore there is steam. So whenever any planet passes through this zone, that planet's significations, they undergo a certain kind of turmoil. You feel out of control in that situation and you get the experience as if you are drowning, you are not in control. So now on 12th January 2022, Mars enters this Gandhanta zone, and on 18th January 2022, he will exit the Gandhanta zone. So this period from 12th January to 18th January 2022 is a bit critical for all of us. Now Mars rules the first house of Aries, which represents our physical self, which represents new beginnings. And he also rules the 8th house of Scorpio, which represents sudden events, buried things, secrets. Scorpio sign is represented by a scorpion. What makes this transit very unique is that we just had a solar eclipse recently on 4th December 2021. And at the same time, we also have Ketu in the sign of Scorpio right now. And Mars and Ketu were together in the sign of Scorpio. Now, Mars, the ruler of the 8th house, is going to cross the Gandhanta. So, the significations related to Mars will be affected. What do I mean by this? Now, what does Mars represent? Mars represents actions that we take. Mars represents our courage. Mars represents our willpower. Mars represents dominance. Mars represents aggression. Mars represents the blood flow in our body. Mars represents land. Mars represents property. Mars represents our siblings. Mars also represents the armed forces, the police force, people working in administrative positions. Mars also represents surgeons. Mars represents violence. Mars represents intense aggression. Mars also represents explosives. Mars and Ketu together represent terrorist activities. So you can see Mars represents many things which can greatly impact us. So now Mars is crossing this Gandhanta zone, and this sign of Scorpio is under the influence of Ketu. So this is the point where fire meets water. Mars is also a fiery planet. And it is like Mars is now going to leave the watery sign and move into the fire sign. So there is steam, which means in this time period, there could be intense bouts of aggression. You might feel very aggressive, especially if your moon, natal moon was placed in the Gandhanta zone. You will have an emotional outburst. You will feel very aggressive and you will get irritated at small things. Similarly, if you had natal Mercury in the Gandhanta zone, your communication will be very rash, very aggressive in this time period. If you had Jupiter in the Gandhanta zone, maybe your interaction with your superiors, your bosses, may undergo some turmoil in this time period. If you had Rahu in the Gandhanta zone in your natal chart, then you may aggressively drive your car, or you may land into certain property related disputes or vehicle related issues, which you may regret later when Mars crosses the Gandhanta. Now, why am I saying this? Because when Mars is about to leave the sign of Scorpio, he is going to exit the nakshatra of Jyeshta. And Jyeshta represents superiority complex. You feel very superior in this time period, and therefore you also become very aggressive. So you may take certain wrong decisions. Later on, when Mars enters Moola, you recollect your actions and you try to find the root cause of your mistake, but by then the damage is already done. So this is a time period when we need to be very calm, we need to be very patient, and we should not be impulsive. Consciously we should try to remain calm even if circumstances are not that simple, or if circumstances challenge us in a difficult way. And this is a very short period, just a period of 6 days, from 12th January 2022 to 18th January 2022. So this is the time when you need extreme self-control. Be cautious about what you are saying, to whom you are saying, and also be careful when you are driving, or when you are traveling, or when you are performing a critical operation such as a surgery or an engineering task. In this period, you might find the law enforcing officers such as the police force, the armed forces, to be very aggressive, to be very strict in this 6-day period. So try not to indulge with them, not to argue with them in this time period. If you had natal Venus in the Gandhanta zone, then you become very aggressive in love related matters, in love affairs, or with your girlfriend or with your spouse. So be kind to your spouse. Try to avoid this consciously. If you have the planet Sun in your natal chart in the Gandhanta zone, then Mars transiting over this natal Sun through the Gandhanta can create extreme anger issues within you, extreme ego issues within you. So try to keep your self-control. Do not fall prey to such temptations. If you had natal Saturn in the Gandhanta zone and now Mars is crossing that Gandhanta zone, then be kind to your servants, be kind to your subordinates. You might find your subordinates suddenly becoming aggressive with you in this time period. So remember that this is the effect of Mars transiting over the Gandhanta zone. So forgive all such people who are giving problems to you because of Mars transiting over the Gandhanta. Remember, this is the effect of a planetary transit through the Gandhanta zone, and hence forgive these people. Do not maintain a harsh grudge over them. If you had Mercury in the Gandhanta zone in your natal chart and Mars is now transiting that planet, then you might find people suddenly becoming aggressive against you on social media platforms. So say I am running a YouTube channel and suddenly I find very harsh comments on this channel. So that is the effect of Mars transiting the Gandhanta zone, and I consciously will forgive such people. Now these are the effects of having natal planets in the Gandhanta zone and Mars now transiting over those planets. But in general, what is the effect of Mars transiting the Gandhanta zone? First thing is, Mars is the ruler of the 8th house of sudden events, sudden disturbances, transformation. Okay, and therefore in this time period, there is a possibility of terrorist activities, of violence, of rash driving. So we need to be careful with respect to these things which may happen in the world and in the society in general. If possible, try and avoid traveling in this 6-day time period, because Mars is the Karaka for vehicles also. So if you are driving, you might get involved in a rash driving accident, etc. So be careful consciously. Remember that when Mars is moving through Jyeshta, it creates a superiority complex which makes us misbehave with people. And when Mars enters into Moola, Moola represents the roots, and you realize that something destructive has happened and you try to go to the roots, but the damage is already done. So consciously try to avoid such damage, such problems in your life. Now that you know that Mars is transiting the Gandhanta from 12 Jan 2022 to 18 Jan 2022. Also avoid crowded places. Be careful about violence, about terrorist activities. If you suspect anything in your locality, report it immediately to the local police. So friends, this is my short analysis of Mars crossing the Gandhanta zone from 12 Jan 2022 to 18 Jan 2022. So do take the necessary precautions and avoid unnecessary aggression, impulsive moves in this time period. So friends, thanks a lot. Stay safe. Take care. If you need any consultations, email us at astrosevaworld@yahoo.com. You can also reach us through our website astroseva.tripod.com.